Hey, Mike, how are you?
Doing well, Ron. How are you doing tonight?
Wonderful, wonderful, sir. Let me see if
That's
I get my
good.
lighting right here. All right, that's a little better. Welcome, everyone. It's Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time. Time for Outlawed Live with Ron Stone and my guest host, Mike Idle's been joining us here lately. We had Jason on last week. Mike, you had some electrical and streaming issues there, or Wi-Fi issues, I should say.
We were without power. Northeast Missouri, Macon County, Missouri was essentially went back to the dark ages for about 48 hours. So
Yeah,
made it a little touch and go there for a bit.
Gotcha. Yeah, we had one of our guests last week that was scheduled to come on had some issues also, so we had to scratch him. We did get a couple of our four-wheel drive guests in, Ted Skelton and The Rock, representing the Outlaws in the four-wheel drive class, as well as the Thornton brothers out of Iowa with the points winners with Thumper this year, also representing the Outlaws in the four-wheel drive class at the National Farm Machinery Show in Louisville, Kentucky in 4 short weeks, Mike.
We're getting close. Are you getting excited?
I absolutely am. I'm crossing the days off my calendar.
I went and had the tough discussion with my boss the other day, and I said, "Look here's what's going down. I'm getting involved in the world of tractor pulling." I said, "How many days can you give me?" And he says, "If it's that important to you, just count on taking off for Louisville every year." He goes, "We can just start fresh the week after." So we're going to be there for the whole experience. I'm pretty excited.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm leaving. We're going to leave next Tuesday, so we can be there, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed on Wednesday, ready to hit the ground running. When are you taking off?
I've got to drive the school bus Tuesday night. I got to drive a route, so we're going to head out of here at about 5:00 Wednesday or Tuesday night. Get as far as we can. Probably be there mid-morning Wednesday.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to download a video here real quick. Can you still hear me?
Yep, you're good.
All right. I'll make sure this worked. So I'm going to go ahead and play it as soon as it uploads it. It's only about 25 seconds long, but it's processing. Of course, we have Mark Roberts on tonight of Super Farm fame with the Outlaws, has represented the Outlaws several times at Louisville. He finished 6th in points this year. We'll talk to him about his season, his accomplishments at Louisville. Only Super Farm representing the Outlaws in Louisville this year, as well as last year. 540 Light Pro, Ryan Mitchell, that tractor run by Ryan and Grant Mitchell, representing the Outlaws in the 540 Light Pro class, and that tractor and that team as well, the only ones representing the Outlaws in the Light Pro class at Louisville this year. So a little bit of pressure on those guys.
Yeah, and you really have to tip your hat to Mark Roberts. Mark really carries our flag valiantly out there because due to the differences in rules and organizations and what you can and can't do, tough sledding for Mark just to even kind of apply and to be in there. And every year he's been there several times, I want to say, and he fights the good fight, and he waves the banner proudly with a New Holland, no less. So a lot of good reasons to get behind what Mark's doing. And if you're a fan of ice cold Anheuser products, you're probably going to enjoy rooting for Ryan Mitchell and his tractor too. It was one of the most popular tractors when they put that new wrap on it a few years ago, and they were doing the salute to the farmers. So it broke the internet for a few days, and a hard runner on top of that.
Yeah, he made some really some instant fans as soon as they laid eyes on that tractor, just because of the fact that he had the Busch Light label on the side. Yep. Brandon Gilliland watching from down in Uvalde, Texas. And that's right on the border, Mike. Brandon Gilliland runs a 3-engine modified tractor called Oso Negro. What's the temperature down there, Brandon? Curious what the temperature is down there. Jerome watching from St. Ivory, Nebraska. Jeremy Tyndall watching from North Carolina. Superfan Marty Samuelson watching from Ravenna. 10-degree temps, might get to 25 tomorrow. It's a veritable heat wave.
Yeah. We're supposed to be on the positive side, double digits. We're going to double digits tomorrow. It's going to be great. And then right back to it on Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Right back to the cold, you mean?
Yep. Yeah.
Yep. This might be one of your fans, Mike. I'm not sure. But,
Grace Trotter. She okay. Jason's been telling them, he says, go back to bed. Says that's how he's been handling those.
Danny Lambert, Front Royal, Virginia, watching. Jerome says temperature's 10 degrees up there where he's at in Nebraska as well. So thanks everyone for checking in and watching Outlawed Live. And let's get that run on here. I downloaded one of his second place finishes this year. I believe this video is from Arlington.
Brett Roberts with a nice hook on that good-looking New Holland.
Yeah, he finished 6th in points this year. And I will tell you something about the New Holland tractors, Mike. Those are made by the same company of Case IH, CMH. And when we took that tour of the plant in Racine, Wisconsin in November, they also build where they build the Magnum tractors. They also build New Holland tractors on that same assembly line. The final line where they actually drive them off the end of the line, there was about, 15 Case Magnums and 1 New Holland in the mix there.
I had heard you say that before. I don't remember if you told it to me directly or is on one of the shows you were doing, but I was surprised to hear that. And then the term C&H finally started clicking with me when we look at the Case New Holland. So it looks like that they're, like you said, 1 out of every 10 or 15, the blue tractors are starting to make their impact there as well. They're beautiful tractors and they're hard runners when they get them right.
Let's without further ado here, let's go ahead and bring the man of the hour, the man of the half hour anyway here. He gets the first half of the show. Mark Roberts. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing wonderful, guys.
And you're home tonight, I assume?
Yeah, I just got home. Roads are getting a little better, but they're still not the best, but we made her.
And what town do you call home?
Scrivener, Nebraska.
Okay. All right. Now, about 10 degrees up there, I'm hearing that's about the norm tonight in Nebraska?
I think my pickup said 5 when I got home.
5. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I talked to Ray Miller down in Whitewright, Texas today. He said it was 0 there yesterday. They don't like it when it gets that cold down in Texas.
I bet Ray don't like it there.
So, Mark, you're a New Holland guy in the Super Farm class. What drove you to choose the New Holland sheet metal?
For years I've been a New Holland salesman or managed New Holland dealerships, so it was just kind of a natural step to get into it. And nobody had them, so it's like we're going to just build one and see what we can do. And we've just never stopped trying to make it better.
And the color on the tractor, I mean, you probably get sick of hearing me repeat this. It pulls. Mike's saying, "Yep, he's."
I know where you're going. I'm going to let you ask the question.
Yeah, I mean, it's super interesting that they offer Maserati blue as a color on a farm tractor, but that's actually the case. They do offer it, right?
That is correct. Yes, we can put it on several different models of tractors, and when I can order it, I order it on almost all my tractors that way.
Okay, and how much is that option? How much more?
Right now, it's probably about $7,000-8,000. You know, that sounds like a lot of money, but when you're buying a $400,000 tractor, that's just a small percentage.
If you're gonna flirt with $500,000, you might as well get it in that beautiful color of blue anyway. So if you're gonna drive a Ford New Holland, make sure that the neighbor's jealous of you while you're doing it.
I got to make them talk about something.
Yeah, right. Yep, that's for sure.
I mean, working at the dealership, how often do you get a call to order a tractor with that color?
Oh, quite a bit. The people, when it sets out front and the people get to see it, they really enjoy the color, and it's just a beautiful color. And so, like I said, most of my tractors probably, when I can order it, I order it probably on 95% of the tractors.
Mm-hmm.
All of them, we can order it that way. So, but no, we order it most of them that way we can.
I bet that would be that would draw people in, parking that tractor that color out front. It might catch their eye.
There's a lot of conversation about it. There's no doubt.
So how long you been pulling, Mark?
I started pulling myself in 2002.
2000. What class did you start out in?
We have always been super farm. Started out there and just little bit by little bit got a little bit better, and just never. I want to maybe think about different things, but we never do it. So,
Right. Wait a minute now. Think about different things. What were you thinking?
I've always had a dream of a diesel super, but I don't know that I got enough time to run one of them things. That's always been, ever since I started watching pulling and watching my dad pull years ago, that's always been a tractor that I love to have, is a diesel super.
Your combinations here are really, really interesting. So anytime we can see a blue tractor going down the track, people get behind that. They're awesome tractors. They're almost like what Alice Chalmers was 20 or 30 years ago. They're just, everyone sees green, everyone sees red. You see the blue one, and that's neat. But traditionally, those blue tractors like to be converted to alcohol. A lot of times, you've seen a lot of tough running Fords and New Hollands over the years. So diesel super and super farm, what kind of inspired you to go that direction with your tractor?
Oh, when I started building mine, I was helping Rob Poulsen with his light super. He built it was a diesel to begin with, and he made it into an alcohol tractor. And we said, well, we'll have one light tractor and one heavy tractor. So that's what kind of got me that way. So, and I started out as basically an 8600 chassis, an old Ford chassis I got from Kevin Lynn, and we just keep changing it from then. So
Mark, would there ever be spark plugs in your future, or are you going to be a smoke blower through and through?
Don't get me wrong. I like the alcohol tractors, but my true love is diesel tractors. I just love them a lot. So, and I just find them enjoyable. So, and
perfect. That's awesome.
Yep.
I'm posting some pictures up here of trying to get it as a couple that I took a couple of years ago, and maybe one from last year at the Farm Machinery Show. Mark, what's your history at the National Farm Machinery Show? How many times have you been, and what's your record been?
I think this will be either 10th or 11th time we've been there. We've done really good to really bad. We've done, the first year I went there, I thought things were pretty easy because in our session we got second place right out the bat, and I think we were sixth in the finals. But as we moved along, we've gotten first in our session and as high as fourth in the finals. Don't seem to make the finals as much as I would like to, but it's pretty tough competition. And, like now we go down there, we're a couple hundred horse less than we normally are in the summer. So it just changes everything. And, anytime you go indoors, you got to have everything it's just all a combination, and it's just your time to make it work right.
Yeah. I mean, you are at, it's a handicap. Obviously you're changing your setup where a lot of these guys don't have to change their setup. I would imagine, being an Outlaw super farm, you have to change more than anybody else would have to that you're competing against there.
Yeah, we end up, we run a header. They will not allow a header down there. And then our turbo's different. So that changes everything, because currently my turbo points to the front of the tractor. That now it turns around and goes to the back. If you ever, like when we were pulling there at Arlington, you can see the second hole in the hood. That second hole is for Louisville.
Okay.
And then the back hole for Outlaws. So we've got two different holes in the hood just to accommodate the two different setups. But, we end up putting a standard exhaust manifold and standard intake manifold and different crossovers and a different turbo. And then we put on the dyno and tune everything in there as best we can.
Do the other organizations run intercoolers? Isn't that a difference as well?
The PPL run an intercooler.
Okay. And that's permissible at Louisville as well?
No, it is not. They have to.
Okay.
Yep. No.
So changing the turbo, changing the exhaust pipe to an exhaust manifold, and then getting it tuned in. Who does your work tuning it in?
Joe Bush over at Boone, Iowa does the work for me.
Joe Bush Ag. Okay.
Yep.
And what was your best finish at Louisville?
We finished first in our session one year, and then that year we also got fourth in the finals.
Okay, that's commendable. I mean, considering you have to change so much just to get in there.
Yeah, but the year we got fourth, we were out of first place by like 18 inches. That's how close we were from first to fourth.
Wow. You get a lot of press, a lot of interest in the tractor just because it's New Holland when you're at Louisville?
Yeah, we do. There's been one time that Mike Wood had me come in. Me and Brett went in there at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and we were on the morning news. They walked around the tractor, and we talked about the tractor and stuff early in the morning, one morning on the news and things like that. So yeah, there's a lot of interest in it. Yes.
That's awesome. And Mark, you and I talked for just a few minutes earlier when you were on your way home from work, and I asked you who was driving this year because I didn't ask Brett to come on. I assumed you were driving, and you said, yeah, Brett drove last year. You drive this year. Do you guys flip a coin or just take turns?
Just take turns. And if something happens and, Brett had something special going on and wanted to drive it a second year in a row, we don't get too much on 50-50. If there's something special or something works, we just kind of move it around.
And what's your game plan for Louisville? I mean, you already have your gear picked out. Do you actually go test the track and poke around on it, or you just assume it's always going to be that same Louisville track?
I go out there and walk around on it, look at it. I don't poke the track, but I kind of look at it and see what's going on and try to watch some tractors as much as I can ahead of time. And it's kind of always similar, I guess I would say.
How does your personal driving strategy change? Regardless of what other indoor pulls you do, there's never as much seat time indoors as there is outdoors. So how does your approach off the starting line or anything else going down the track? How do you drive an indoor track compared to driving an outdoor track?
Basically, the biggest difference we do is, you don't have any smoke, but it's always a feel, and you got to bring it a little harder off the top because you want them, and you got to get them tires to hook really quick because you're on a short 220, 230 foot track. So you don't have no time to mess around off the starting line. You got to get it up and running as fast as you can.
Which is a double-edged sword, I'm sure, because if you just dump it and throw it quickly and you just burn the tires off of it, now you're just going to spend maybe the mid 100s. So you've got to find that feel, but I assume once you find that feel, you've got to get on top of it in a hurry. Is that right?
Yeah, it's you got to get it going as fast as you can and stay right on top of it and keep that RPM up.
Do you do much other indoor pulling?
I used to. We always went to Kansas City and Lincoln when both of them were going on, but really that's Louisville's the only one we do currently because that's the only one that's really, it's my exciting time. And
sure.
I have a lot of friends and family and just people that just love to go watch us pull down there. And we haul a lot of people down with us. We usually have anywhere from 8 to 12 people in the motorhome with us when we go down there and pull the tractor down there. So it's just a lot of people enjoy it. And, if I didn't have all the family and the friends and everybody helping me, it's a chore to get down there, but I've got so much help. It makes it pretty easy and pretty fun.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike. I'm trying to upload.
Yep. You do your thing, Ron. So,
upload a photo.
With you I was telling Ron before you jumped on here, you kind of carry the Outlaw banner when it comes to the National Farm Machinery Show and the Super Farm class. This year you're the only one, and I imagine that's fairly common just because of the differences. Who are some of the people that you get to see at Louisville that maybe you don't bump into during your regular circuit? And you kind of have the people you rub elbows with that you just get to see when you're there? Who are some people you kind of cross paths with at Louisville?
Well, it always seems to be a little different, but some of the people and us blue guys kind of stick together.
Mm-hmm.
There's the T8 Tomcat and the 10 Pro.
Yep.
We talk quite a bit, and Kevin Lynn, when he's there, we talk and stuff, and of course Mike Wilhite. But and it's just there's a lot of people that enjoy seeing the blue tractor, and they just come around and we just talk, and it's pretty fun, and all the Super Farm guys. And it seems like my session, we always try to go on Wednesday for whatever reason. It gets us there early, and there's always a different group of pullers you talk to and you're with, and you get to know every year, and that's just pretty fun.
And do you pull Friday night? Is that correct?
We pull Wednesday night.
Wednesday. You start off Wednesday night, and then you have your finals. Is there a finals for Super Farm on Saturday, or are you one and done?
Nope. There's a final on Saturday for the top 4 of Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay, Wednesday, Thursday. So you get the whole experience. Then you get there Wednesday. You shoot for those finals. Yeah, I like pullers who are there not just to pull, but also to experience the whole farm show too. I mean, you're already there. You might as well experience as much as you can. So that's kind of cool for you.
It's very cool. And we go there. It's a little bit of a vacation for a lot of people we take, and even me, and walking around the farm show and just walking around, seeing the tractors and talking to the other pullers that you end up meeting there. Cause there's just a lot of even old time pullers that show up and start talking to you. And it's just a fun time.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've been busy. We've talked to a lot of people, they say, hey, we're going to Louisville, and what have you done since the end of the season? And, they say, well, we parked it and changed oil in it and we're going to go. But you've been busy getting everything prepared and ready. How many man hours are we talking to make all the necessary switches to get this thing rocking and rolling, not only tuned up the way you want, but just to make it legal for Louisville?
Oh, we end up probably, by the time we get done taking at the dyno and back and forth, we probably got 50 to 80 man hours in just getting the Louisville set up. And then we try to get everything done for the next pulling year ahead of time there. If Joe's got some ideas, we change the engine and do whatever. And this year we're going to run with basically the same engine. As further on down, we're going to change the block on it because I can't keep running the block very long without it breaking. So,
right.
But no, it takes a lot of time.
Now that's a common issue with those motors, right? There's some weak
correct.
areas in those motors.
Yeah. We're bored out. So much of that engine's tore out of there. The block breaks out, and I've got a outfit out of Wisconsin that's building me a recast block right now. So hopefully we'll have that for next year. It's they're kind of new in it, and they've only been doing it a couple years, and they only do blue blocks, and it's kind of fun to talk to them and work with them and what we want to do.
And they've beefed up the block in those critical areas where they've been breaking in the past. Then I'm assuming.
Yes, they are. It's quite a bit heavier of a block. Yeah.
Chuck Hobbs asking if Outlaw Super Farm has to be an ag chassis, and yes, it does. Mm-hmm. And then Mark, I was just downloading this picture you'd sent to me. Tell us a story on this.
This is my dad's pulling tractor. This is where I really got into pulling, and this is this is in the city of Oskaloosa, Kansas, and you know where that is.
Yeah.
Because I was born not very far from there in Lawrence, Kansas, and lived quite a few years around Oski, and my dad had a pulling tractor while we were there, and that's his pulling tractor, and he pulled it in several different places, and pulled it in Kansas City at the American Royal, and so it was that's where I really got into it, because the whole family got into it, and we went together, and it was just I remember that as good times with the family when I was growing up. So
I'm assuming this is mid to late 70s. It's still got the tricycle front end. Of course, that's got to be your cool street racer over there with the banana seat.
That bike is timeless, I'm telling you what. But I would guess that picture was 74, maybe somewhere in that neighborhood.
I never watched any of the narrow front pulling except for the occasional YouTube video I find of like the Iowa State Fair and stuff. But I hold my breath even looking at this picture. The idea of the narrow front, and I assume the idea was they were just shedding weight. You take that big bulky ag front end off and you go back to the narrow front. I can't even imagine some of the rides people would have taken on those things, driving the narrow fronts or the tricycle front, like Ron identifies it. That was a different era of pulling, no doubt about it.
Oh yeah, it was, because I can still remember it. It had a plywood cover over the rear end with a pipe and a plastic seat is all you had, and you had fenders kind of, but that you didn't have no seat. Oh.
Yeah. The fenders. And of course you had the modified guys who were running absolutely no fenders whatsoever. I mean, it was a different world back then, maybe a lap belt and a motorcycle helmet.
Yeah. That you didn't even see that, because you were older if you put a hat on like that. So
yeah, I've seen guys get thrown off as I'm talking mid 90s. I saw a guy get thrown clear over the front of a tractor in McLeod, Kansas, actually.
Yeah.
That was before cages.
Yeah, I had our friend that got us into pulling, he actually got killed at a tractor puller in Oskaloosa in his modified tractor back in probably
Kansas tractor pullers.
What's that?
The Kansas tractor pullers.
Yeah, he was a part of the I don't know which organization he was, but he had a 2-engine mod and got thrown off and hit the tire and got kind of thrown and beat up pretty bad.
I've heard that story from a guy that pulled with the Kansas tractor pullers. He said that was the end of the Kansas tractor pullers. Was that accident?
Yeah, that was a very sad thing.
Yeah, so, that's terrible.
Yeah.
That was a sled issue, right? The sled.
That is what I understand. I was not there at that time. We were living in Iowa, and they said the sled didn't operate and the weight didn't move forward, and somebody got in front of the track or down at the end of the track and got in the way, and it was just a bad thing. Yeah.
It sounds like the perfect storm of bad circumstances. But all you can do, it makes you really appreciative of where we are in the world of pulling now. Every year your eyes have to get used to something new. 30 years ago or 20 years ago is the roll cages, and then you have the skids underneath the front tires and everything. But it's been a long time, and knock on wood and thank everything that's the case. But it's been a long time since there have been any terrible horror stories in pulling. And, that's something that we can only be thankful for.
Oh, most definitely. And when I started pulling, I told my wife, I said, I may not have the most power, but I'm going to be the safest I can be, because I don't want to have an accident and have a problem. Yeah. I'm one of them. So.
Yep. And regardless of what it is, your eyes will get used to it. When was the last time, if you look back to, it's funny, if you look back at the videos around 97, 98, 99, when we were just playing with the modern iteration of the roll cage. Now, of course, there were, roll cages like the Braybeck brothers had a roll cage, and some of the modifieds had a roll cage back in the day. But when we're looking at the modern iteration in 97, 98, 99, they looked so funny, so different. And a lot of people just, I'm not going to watch pulling. That's not what a tractor looks like. When was the last time you went to a pull and even noticed the roll cage? Here we are in 2024. Your eyes will get used to anything when it comes to safety. And if safety, that's got to be our number one concern.
Most definitely, because we don't want to have accidents. Nobody does, because that's just hard on the fans and the families.
Yep.
No puller wants to have that happen, to hurt somebody that's there just that paid a ticket to come watch, or hurt somebody on the track. And I've heard negativity towards progression of safety, and some guys are like, if it's going to make us safer, do it. But some people have that's not going to happen mentality, or that won't happen to me. But it does happen to nobody. Thinks anything is ever going to happen to them.
No.
So speaking of safety, what was your wildest ride of the year? Have you ever taken any big bounces in the old Spanky's toy?
A few. I don't really recall any. This year everything went pretty well. Our worst ride probably this last year was Louisville. Brett tried to drive it out of bounds, but that's just.
I bet it was turning left. If I had to guess, I bet he was going to go out of bounds left. Am I right?
Yeah, well, he kept it in bounds, and the guy behind us went out of bounds. So I feel pretty lucky that way. But it wasn't a fun experience. But it happens, and you get in the wrong track, and you can't. When you're hooked at Louisville, the brakes don't do you much good, because it's going to take you the direction your tractor's hooked. So you've got to really work to get it squared around. And he got it done after the front end come back down, and he got it to kind of just stay in bounds.
The Louisville left turn, it's a real thing, right?
The left hook. Who do you fear the most, Mark, out of the competition you're going to be facing in Louisville?
I don't know that there's anybody I don't fear. It is a tremendous class of tractors all through the United States. The Super Farm is, and when they get there, they're all super competitive. And I can't pick one out that I fear more than the others, because I fear every one of them. Because we're all there for a reason.
Yeah.
That's all you can really say about it, and that's the fun part about it. I don't go there to, know I'm going to beat everybody because I'm the best. I go there to try to be the best I can to compete with them. And we go there to put on a show for the fans, and that's where it really comes down to. And and that's what I've always done pulling and tell people is that if we don't put on a good show, we don't have people show up, and if we don't have people show up, we don't have a truck to pull.
Yeah, got to have audience participation. But you have any sponsors, Mark, that you want to thank? Take a moment here and thank the folks that support you.
Yeah, my only real big sponsor I have is where I work, Benish Service Company out of David City. We're in New Holland. Kinsey, Brent Dealer, Ag Leader is also one of our major lines. So that Benish Service does a tremendous amount. Without them, I would not be pulling. And but it also, I think they realize it gets me away from work, or I would probably never leave the place. I just work all the time. I enjoy it too much. So no, that's very much appreciated because, well, my son Brett works there too, and so does Cody. So there's 3 of us out of the family that works there. So, and that's a big deal.
Do the folks there at the dealership that you work with, do they watch the live stream or come see you at the pulls?
They will come to the local pulls, but other than that, no, they don't.
Okay. Well,
Yep.
I think you're going to have a lot of Outlaw fans watching you in Louisville and supporting you. Mark, congratulations on going to Louisville again, getting invited to come back. And we wish you best of luck, Mike and I, and there's going to be a bunch of us down there in person supporting you as well. So good luck to you guys. Hope you bring home a win.
Well, I appreciate all the help I can get from everybody supporting us. And, and I really appreciate what you guys do to help support the sport. Like I say, without everybody, this don't happen. From you down to me to the guy that helps me get my parts, it just takes a lot of people to make all this happen. And a lot of times nobody realizes that. So
well, we think it's the greatest sport on earth, Mark. So we're going to do our best to get it out there and get more people's eyes on it. So,
well, that's what we need to do. Cause I'm not going to argue that point. I've enjoyed it most of my entire life. So it's a big fun family that gets to go pulling.
Hey, will there be cookies at Louisville? Just asking.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. That's all I needed to know. So
That's
over there.
That's one of the best things I've heard on Outlawed Live. Just the strong from the background. Yep, don't worry about it. That's excellent.
Yeah,
we love that, and she knows what my favorite cookies are, and yeah, I'll bring the chocolate milk. You guys bring the cookies. We'll have a party.
Oh man.
Yep.
All right, Mark. Thanks for taking the time out tonight. We appreciate it. Be safe. Stay warm up there. We'll see you in Louisville in 4 weeks, buddy.
That sounds perfect. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Thanks,
good luck, Mark. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Matt.
Mark Roberts, out of the great state of Nebraska, formerly of Kansas. He's from the Oskaloosa area, not too far from the Kansas City area. Has a neat old picture of that farm all he had there.
Yeah, it looked like a 560.
Yeah, it looks like, yeah.
Yep, I'd say it's probably a 560. Yeah, that was cool. Oskaloosa, Kansas. He threw me for a curveball. I was like, oh yeah, I've been to the pool in Oskaloosa, Iowa. I thought we were going to Oskaloosa, Iowa. We Midwesterners. There was a lot of plagiarism in town naming about 150 years ago, I want to say.
Yeah, you got Osceola and Osceola. So,
but there's an Oskaloosa. There's an Oskaloosa, Iowa as well. So
yeah. Let's move on now. Let's go to another a single representative of the Outlaws going to Louisville this year. We got one half of the team anyway. We're going to bring on Ryan Mitchell from Pella, Iowa. Ryan Mitchell, how you doing tonight, bud?
Getting cold.
Yeah.
You just can't escape it.
What's your numbers there in Pella, Iowa?
I think it was 5 when I got home a little bit ago, but we've been calving. I don't know. We weren't very smart. We started calving there last week, and it's been not perfect timing for that. I'll say that much.
What were you a hunting cabin or just vacation or what?
What's that?
The
We've
cabin
been calving
you're in,
cows.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Cabin. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
cabin.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm with you, Ron. I heard cabin. I was like, oh, yeah.
Calving
Family
cows.
vacation. You're having an Iowa summertime up there. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Boy,
Like
you started calving in this weather?
yeah. Usually January is pretty good. It's dry, and boy, it bit us this year. Man, it's been a nightmare.
Wow.
So, you don't know which trail roads to venture down.
somebody buy this guy a cold drink or a hot cup of coffee or something. You've been earning your keep this week for sure.
Yeah, it's
everything's
been
all right though,
least,
Ryan. All the cows and the calves are okay, making it through.
Yeah, so far so good. Yep. So luckily,
I was talking to Ray Miller down in Whitewright, Texas earlier today, and he said it was actually 0 there yesterday. So they're not being spared from cold weather either. He's a rancher.
At least
himself,
we're somewhat accustomed to it up here. They're not.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Now, Ryan, of course, it's you and your brother Grant that drive the tractor, right?
Yeah, I do probably, 75, 80% of the duties. And, he helps out a lot on that thing. And so he drives it a little bit, but he's getting more and more involved with his kids and sports and stuff like that. But this year was pretty much me and Brad Whaler, buddy of mine. So,
So how did everybody wants to know this question? How did you end up with a Busch Light? It looks like a Busch Light sponsorship on the side of the tractor.
So Dahl Distributing, they're the distributorship for Busch Light by Anheuser-Busch for basically the western 2/3 of Iowa. Lauren Dahl Sheeter is her name. She's marketing manager there. And when you guys brought back the tractor pull at the Iowa State Fair, they were doing a lot of them wraps on combines, and I reached out to her and say, hey, it's first time the pull's going to be back at the Iowa State Fair for, how long has it been? How long was it gone, Ron? It was gone for what, 4 or 5 years?
Was it that long? I know it was at least 3 or 4, but that's about right.
Time flies.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk that they'd never have the tractor pull again, but it was cool to get back in there.
No, I know. And she, and I talked to her about putting that wrap on there, and she thought it'd be a great idea. She designed that for that tractor, and so it just kind of took off from there. But so they wrapped it, and that's.
I would bet if we go back and look at statistics, Facebook and Meta has a lot of data. If we went back and looked at some statistics, I'm betting some of the pictures of that tractor are probably some of the most popular posts that we've had, just because it's cool. Everybody likes Busch Latte. I think even Mike Idle likes Busch Latte.
It blew up overnight. That tractor, it was on TikTok, it was on Facebook. That thing was everywhere the minute that wrap went on there. If you're combining, that's a match made in heaven. You've got the For the Farmers, corn can with Busch Light and tractor pulling and John Deere. There wasn't a Midwesterner who didn't see that on their phone the next day.
America.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I've got one video.
It definitely helps get you.
Go ahead.
It definitely helps get you recognized. I know when you go everywhere else, it seems you get a lot of attention. So it's definitely been good.
Did you get any kind of perks with that sponsorship deal? Any free beer? Anything like that?
I had some hats and stuff I give away, but not a lot. It's just, obviously you about have to go to Anheuser-Busch to get everything. I think they give the distributor a little bit of marketing money to work with, and I think that's what she spent it on. So,
I don't know if you can see the comments on the screen, Ryan. Do you know a guy named Justin Hopkins out there? I think I may have heard the name. I'm not sure, but he's
unfortunately, no, he pulls with us. We jump in that pro pulling league some in the Western Series, when we don't have a hook with the Outlaws. But Justin, I pull with him quite a bit, so he's a good friend of mine. So
is his tractor going to be ready to go for the start of the season? I know you went full component on it, right?
Yeah, and I know they were working on it the other day. I don't know. I hope so. He's fun. He's fun to go around with. All the light pro guys they're great guys. So Rich Johnson, Mike Eccles, and John and Al and the Grimeses. There's a lot of it's a great group of guys to pull with. You can't ask for better guys.
I'm hearing through the grapevine and from certain people that it may get a few more tractors in that class this year.
I know I don't know. I think there might be a Ford next year and maybe some others, but it just got to see who shows up at the track. Everybody's got good intentions, but
I'm guessing the Ford would probably be the autos.
Yeah.
Autos is building one. There's supposed to be another one coming out of South Dakota. Somebody that Shell
that's
on the
correct.
Maragon. Okay.
Yep.
And then I also heard that Jerry Mullenix was building a 540 Light Pro.
Oh, really? That'd be cool. No, I did not know that. And I think Caleb Ogle, he don't get this far west, but he's right there in Illinois, and he does some pro pulling league stuff. I know he's been out, sold his chassis, but I think he's got another one in the works as well. It'll be a red one, but I don't know how far west he's going to come, but he's a good dude.
I want to go back, and you guys can help me out a little bit on this too. The Light Pro class really intrigued everyone when it kind of came onto the scene. And I remember the first thing I kind of thought to myself, with a 540 cubic inch limit, and originally they were all ag chassis, I said, well, that's just where every old 7500 super stock that kind of just doesn't have a home anymore is going to land perfectly. I mean, with that combination. But the component where's everyone landing on the component rear ends with the 540s? Is that now standard across all three major organizations, or who's what? I know that was kind of the shift. They went pretty quickly away from the ag rear end over to the component.
Yeah, we had problems keeping the cast rear end together on them things. And I know mine's got a few cracks in it, but everybody's went to such big turbos and pushed the limits on these things. They're just not holding together. And it's just hard to move weight around on them things with the cast rear end in them. I mean, we're 8,500 pounds, and you just can't stack enough weight on the front end of the thing. And, I think for longevity and everything like that, I think components probably the way to go. But I know all the other sanctions are pretty much allowing components in there. So it's
we allow them at the weight handicap.
Okay. That's kind of, to ask my question, I can ask a 2-word question in a half a paragraph, but to go right at it, so we can run component, but there's a sacrifice, right?
Yeah, it's 300 pounds, I think, if I remember right. Ryan, does that sound familiar to you?
Yeah, that's probably about right. And like the John Deere's, you're so restricted on where that motor sits, because you've got that cast bell housing you're tied to, which kind of limits the John Deere's, I think. But it basically handicaps them more than the red ones, because the motors are out farther ahead. And I think the component will help even the playing field, where we can shove that motor out farther ahead, and get some more weight out in the front of that thing. So it'll be a big learning curve on how to weight the tractor and get your setup correct. But Justin Hopkins actually started that 540 Light Pro class out here. He ran with the 4.1s for a while because they allowed him in there, and he kind of help get this class started out here in the Midwest. You get out east in Indiana, Ohio, and even Wisconsin, and them guys that's the class. So
they're thick.
It's just nice.
Yeah. How long have you had your go ahead, bud. I'm sorry about that.
I like to thank Justin for getting that class started, because he really was the one that got that thing going out here. So
how long have you had the hostile environment pulling in that class? When did you build it, and when did you come on the scene with it?
So 6 years ago, we started building it from the ground up, and Bryce Van Genderen, he built everything on it there at VG Motorsports. And it took us about a year and a half to get that thing put together. And when we built it, we had component in mind on the frame rails and everything like that. So when I do go to component chassis, it's not going to be a big change. I can still keep 80% of my frame. So
sure,
it definitely, And it took a while, and we fought some things out the gate, and finally got her figured out. But full pulling seasons, I bet we've had 4, I would say, full pulling seasons. So,
yeah, because it looks like I remember the first time I saw the Light Pros was 2018. So you're really kind of splitting the difference right there between when it got started, COVID, and now when we're back on our feet and everything. How many times have you been to Louisville?
Just once. 2 years ago, we went down there. So. Yeah. What did you gain from that first time there that you think you're going to be able to apply this go around? First time anywhere, you got to be feeling some nerves and some excitement. Now that you've been there before, do you feel like you're walking in the door ready to rock and roll, or how do you move from first time to second time at the big show? Not really. I'm more worried about, I mean, we come out second that first year out there, Rich, well, Mike Eccles drove Shag Nasty out there.
Yeah.
He was the first one out the gate. And when you're sitting in the seat and he hits the sand pile and you're like number 4 draw, it kind of takes the air out of your balloon because there's not much room for improvement on that, and we got second. And I just, there's only one more spot to get.
Yeah. Well, I say you left yourself room for improvement.
Yeah. I just hope we can top that last go around. But I tell you, the experience going out there is just unbelievable. When they pull you down in that tunnel and there's 20,000 fans packed in there and you're sitting in the seat. I mean, it just brings chills through your spine. But it's it's an experience everybody should have, in life. So
what do you do differently, Ryan, or if anything, to the setup on the tractor, pulling indoors a shorter track than you would say, at a normal outlaw event throughout the season where you're pulling 300 plus feet?
I don't know. You got to drive it like you stole it on them things and make sure your air pressure's right in the tires so it gets hooked up quicker. And you got to slide that clutch out, but the quicker you get all over the top of it and get going, the better off you are because you got a short runway. So it's almost you got to get mad at it. So it's and you don't have the smoke and that smoke tube's so loud going over the roll cage. I mean, you can't hear your RPMs because 3,000 RPMs inside with that smoke tube going over your head sounds like 5,000 outside. Mm-hmm. So, you got to watch the tack and just give her heck. So
how hard do you turn the motor in the tractor? What's your max RPM?
I don't know, but I know walking it off the line last year at Louisville, I think I was like 5,500 RPMs getting her off the line, and she hooked up good and took off. So, but yeah, I don't ever really look at the tack. I mean, it's more feel and just kind of feel that thing sit down and off to the races you go.
I love that you say that. That's one of the most common questions. I ask at almost every interview. Are you a data guy or are you a seat of the pants guy? And you would think in the world we're at, everyone's just looking gauges. So many people still, I listen for it and I feel it. And that's to me, that's pulling. That's all. I don't want to say that's how it should be because I'm just a keyboard puller and I don't drive them. But I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, you can feel that thing sit down when she wants to go. You can feel her sit down and it'll squat and you can really feel it hook up because it's getting like you're shot out of a cannon. But it's definitely more feel, and especially our class. I think it's probably more of a driver's class than it is anything because you got so much horsepower. You can't get to the ground anyway. So if you burn your tires off, you're way behind the pack, period. But I don't know. It's a heck of a ride. So.
Yeah, that's one noticeable characteristic, and I always mention this when I'm announcing the class is listen to the RPM. That's something the crowd could hear the difference, in your class than they could from say a pro stock class or a 4-1 class. You can hear those motors really turning a lot harder in that light pro division.
Yeah, and that's amazing they stay together for the RPMs and everything else.
Zuck Fukerberg, I don't know if you know who that is, Ryan.
No.
As long as he doesn't get in trouble on Facebook, we'll out him here. It's Doug Voth down in Lindsay, Texas. He pulls the
Griffin growl.
Griffin
yeah.
modified.
Yeah.
He said he has no tack, just an oil gauge.
I love it. That's awesome. To me, that's, we live in a world where data propels everything and it takes the I don't want to say the skill. I don't ever want to knock anybody because, I'm a keyboard puller. But that's how it should be. That there's a certain amount of something that you guys have that we don't. And that's it right there. The ability to feel it and the ability to put it down. That's driver talent. So I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, I'd say most of the tractor pullers would say the same. You get to sit and see enough of them things. You get to know kind of what to feel for and what to, when it's time to go. And yeah, I don't know. It's just, yeah, it's something you can't describe.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know how you guys can read the digital tacks on these tractors. When you start bringing the RPM up, it's shooting up so fast. I drove a light limited pro a couple years ago at Spencer, Iowa. And I'd never driven a diesel tractor in competition before, and it had the actual readout. I used to drive a pulling truck, and I had the tachometer, which is a needle. But that thing shot up, and he said, take off with this many RPM. I don't remember what it was, 4,000 or something. And that thing just started shooting up on those numbers. And I was just like, whoa, whoa. And I just went ahead and started letting out on the clutch.
You knew you were moving in the right direction. You're like 1,000, 2,000. It's getting to 4 at some point. Let's go ahead and go.
Yeah, I didn't want to get too far beyond where it's supposed to be. And
yeah.
But
a lot of time, mine, if it really gets to vibrating, it'll start flashing. So I don't know if I got a fuse or somewhere in there that's bad, but it'll start flashing at me going out, so it doesn't do any good in a drive it. Watch that thing anyway. So
yeah, that's a good quality in that setup though. It starts flashing, it's telling you to start releasing the clutch.
Well, I've interviewed other guys that say they have it set up to where they just have a light, and they say below a certain RPM our light is red, and then once we get above a certain RPM it turns green, and then if it goes beyond that it turns like whatever. So they're just sitting there, it's like drag racers waiting on a Christmas tree. Once it's red, green, then all right, dump it and throw it, let's go pulling.
I've seen that as well too, but it just, I don't know. You try to get lined up and pick a spot at the end of the track because it's over in a hurry. So you just kind of want to make sure you know where you're going. The tack, whatever.
How fast does the sled catch up with you at Louisville? That's always a fun one to ask people, or any indoor pool. How fast does the sled catch? You always kind of feel that weight box come, and I've heard people say that big green sled at Louisville, it hits you hard and in a hurry.
Yeah, that Ironman sled definitely does, and it hits harder there than it does. I mean, we pulled at Shipshewana and some of them other places, and it definitely hits you harder there, at Louisville than most of them other indoor pools.
Shipshewana's got a longer track though, doesn't it? They've got almost like a 300-foot track, I want to say.
Yeah, and that track's typically really, really good, at Shipshewana too. So you can build a lot of steam going down the track there, but. Yeah, it just seems like Louisville, they set it so tight inside there, because it pulls hard and it hammers you hard at the end too. But
Well, Ryan, you have any sponsors you want to talk about? Give your sponsors a little airtime here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to thank Bryce Van Genderen. Without him, I couldn't keep that thing running down the track. P&K Midwest, John Deere's dealership in Northeast Iowa, Excel Ag, Dickey Transport, Blackhawk Farms, and everybody that's helped me, and K3 Tire, Mark Horst does my cutting on my tires. He's always been a real good job. Weimer, I do fuel and turbo with him, and most of all, I like to thank the Outlaws because if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have an opportunity to get to Louisville. So big thank to you guys. You guys have run a good show. So thank you very much. And my family. So
yeah. I think I can speak for, all the Outlaw family. We're all going to be supporting you down there and cheering you on. Congratulations on your points championship as well. And we'll be there. A lot of us will be there in person cheering you on, and we'll come say hi, of course, when you're over in Broadbent, getting nervous and getting ready to go, Ryan. So
I've got a lot of work to do before we get down there, so it'll be here before you know it.
Yep, 4 weeks, buddy. 4 weeks, but
I know.
Be safe.
Don't remind me.
Be safe and drive safe getting there, and we'll see you in Louisville in 4 weeks.
All right, thanks, guys. Stop by. So thank you very much,
Ryan. Best of luck. You take care.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Yep.
Thank you. Ryan Mitchell, one of the more popular light pro tractors in the country, I would say, that famous for that corn and the bush light wrap on that tractor. Points championship this past year with the Outlaws, and taking his, he said his second time going to Farm Machinery Show in Louisville. Finished second first time, so he's got room for improvement, like you said, Mike. He could come home with a win.
Left himself just enough. Left himself one direction to go. So that would be tough. I didn't realize that when I asked him that question. If you go and you finish second, your very first time there, that leaves you room for improvement. But then you're also sitting there thinking like, oh man, I pulled so well. But I feel like these pullers, at the end of the day, and Mark really touched on this, if they're putting on a great show for the fans, if they don't break anything, if they make a good solid A to B pass, everybody wants to win, but I don't think anybody's going to leave Louisville with a 6th place or an 8th place or whatever and be like, oh man, I really embarrassed myself or something. Like if you're pulling in Louisville, if you're pulling at the National Farmers Show, you kind of already won just by being there,
Oh, absolutely. And pullers are still going to be hard on themselves.
Sure.
If they miss the setup or think they missed the setup, that they're going to be hard on themselves. But yeah, the dirt is always great. It's always a great track there. And the competition, you're talking about the best of the best in the country.
Yeah.
This is the championship of indoor pulling, and they pull from, all these different organizations throughout the country. So we're gonna root hard for Mark Roberts. He's the only Super Farm representing us there, and of course Ryan Mitchell and his family and his crew with the Hostile Environment John Deere pulling there. So good luck, guys. Thanks everybody for tuning in tonight too. We had some good comments.
You ever do these shows and just feel like, when that hour rolls around at the end, you ever just like, does it just fire you up? We're sitting up here, it's 2 degrees outside and there's a foot of snow, and you ever do these and be like, all right, just someone hand me a microphone and I want to smell some diesel smoke. Like it's puts me in the mood to go pulling. Like these doldrums of winter are long and tough.
Yeah, it sure is. Of course, there's pulls all around the country. There's Florida, you got pulls down in Florida. I know they just had Zellwood, and of course we just had Chippewana. The pull in Kentucky. I know the Southern, what is it called? The Southern, somebody's going to be mad at me for not getting this right. Southern Invitational. It's an indoor pull in Tennessee that'll be coming up. So there's just not as many pulls, throughout the winter, not like there was in the 80s where, anywhere in the country in the wintertime, you could probably find an indoor pool.
Yeah, somewhere. we were talking about that last night on the Beer Money show, and some of they were pulling in places where the track was 140 feet long. There were things they were doing back in the 80s that were crazy. So, but the social media does a good job too. Pulling, it feels like. It used to feel like a long, cold winter, but now it's there. Like you said, there's pulls in Florida, there's indoor pulls. And if you know the right places to look and the right people to follow, there's stuff to be seen out there. There's iron moving down the dirt. So it's exciting. Yeah.
And then, of course, you get to May, and there's not a whole lot going on in May, but you got the Pullers Championship coming up in May. Mm-hmm. And, the voting is still, you can still vote on those your favorite puller for the.
So I bugabooed a post up the other day, I think, and I should be more well versed in this. Round 1 has either come to an end or is rapidly coming to an end. I think we're right at the end of round 1, where they kind of, because Brent builds a chart on there that's got like there was 200 4-wheel drive trucks that you could vote for, and then I think they take the top maybe 20 vote getters. And so they take a little time to see where they're at there. And then they'll start the second round of voting. And then each class, depending on how many spots are available, that's where the ones that you get a second chance to vote based on, here's the ones we whittled it down to. So yeah, that's going to be rocking and rolling very soon.
Yeah. So we want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I just wanted to throw some of our sponsors up on the screen here. Of course, Case IH, title sponsor of the Outlaws. Titan, maker of Goodyear farm tires, Titan farm tires. VP Racing Fuels. Holganics Midwest. Coltrane Energy. And of course, Holganics Midwest, I think that show, Be Loyal to Your Soil, will be on tomorrow night. DeKalb and Asgrow, the official seed corn of the Outlaws. Ecotuning.com. Frosted Frog coolers and tumblers. Once again, just a handful of some of our sponsors that we couldn't do this without them. Got to have them. So let's finish with a couple of videos here, Mike, that I pulled for this show. One more comment here. Let me see what we got. Zip Fukerberg. You need to come down here to Texas and get your weather. It's wandering in the yard. Oh, gotcha.
Go home. You belong.
I
was looking for it. except it's not missing. You've just got the crazier, or we've got the crazier version up here.
Yeah, and it it's just it's early yet, so you got the rest of January, you got February, and it seems like in Kansas we always used to get that sneaky little late March snow squall that would come in, and like everybody's like, where'd that come from? But there for several years seemed like we got one of those every March, honestly. But let's watch a couple videos and then we're out of here. Mike, thanks for coming on with me again tonight. Appreciate it. And join us next Tuesday night at 7 p.m. for another edition of Outlawed Live, where we'll have another handful of outlaw pullers destined for Louisville, Kentucky in February. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Take care. Have a good night.
Pull back on the throttle. You've seen Kevin putting more weight in that sled. Still could not stop. Brett Roberts with a nice hook on that good-looking New Holland. All right, Jamie Yankee moving on out of Pilger, Nebraska. Good running, international. Where's the international fans at tonight here in Mound City? Where's the rowdy red section here? This young lady did a heck of a job driving Thursday night. Tractor currently sits number 4 in the points. She was in the Anderson Farms shootout last week in Wayne, Nebraska. These young guns with the Outlaws doing a magnificent job of driving. Got to get past 312.89 to take out the points leader. George Beyer sitting in the top spot. Here comes Jamie Yankee moving on. Oh, Mound City, Kansas, how about a nice hook for Jamie Yankee? Wasn't enough to get past the John Deere. Had to beat 312.89. The young lady goes 319.56 for the lead. Jump around. Jump around. Jump around. Folks, if you are in this crowd watching this pull tonight, if you're watching on TV, on Outlaw Pulling TV, you are watching big-time pulling right now here in Mound City, Kansas. We are not joking around. Supercharged, big block Chevrolets, cotton candy.